Hi folks, welcome to another Ballistic Rants and Reviews with Rant and Fury. This week's going to be the gp100. This particular one I've had in my collection since 1997, 98ish. It was an evolution of the Ruger Security 6, which was a smaller 4-inch barreled revolver, sometimes smaller than that. The gun's been in production since 1985 to present. Typically, like on this one, you've got the hard rubber grips with the wooden inserts, either Goncalo Alves or Rosewood. I forget which one's this because I bought it used. The crane lock from this is from the Ruger Red Hawk series and was also used on the later SP101 5-shot revolvers. It has a transfer bar safety, which I'll show you better in a moment, which means instead of the firing pin being mounted on the hammer, there's a firing pin mounted in the frame. A bar comes up whenever the trigger stays pulled, and the hammer transfers that to the firing pin and fires the weapon itself. This one's in 357, and I'll be honest with you, I mainly fire 38 special or 38 special plus pressure in it. It's not because the pistol is unpleasant to fire in 357, it's just it's a little more controllable to fire in 38 plus P and 38 special. Give me just a moment, let me reset the shot and we'll go over a few more. Okay, got the top view ready. Let me get the wire for the microphone out of the way. On the gp100, you've got a serrated top strap, and what it is, the extra surface and the angles help reflect light at different angles. It's kind of like the checkering on the back strap of the Polish P64 that I showed you a few weeks back. The sights are adjustable for windage and elevation. There's the screw for the elevation and the screw for the windage. Now checking the cylinder, which I've already done it before, it's empty. It's a 6-shot revolver with ejector and the push button release. This particular model is a key gp160, which is the half shroud in stainless steel. The Ruger numbers, if you got a K prefix, that means stainless steel. So instead of a gp160 would have been the blue version of this particular firearm. Get a little better view of the transfer bar system. That's the transfer bar there. And if you let it without the trigger pull, if you let off of the trigger while the hammer's falling forward, the transfer bar gets out of the way so you don't make contact with the firing pin. Now, if you keep the trigger pulled while the hammer is down, the firing pin in the frame goes forward and strikes the primer on the cartridge. This particular model I bought used, 97, 98. I traded a Taurus 4-inch barreled 38 special. Nothing wrong with the gun, it just didn't excite me as much. It was also nickel plated, which wasn't my favorite finish. I bought this gun primarily for a backup when I'm deer hunting, to help put down a wounded animal. And also it was stainless steel, so I used it in my apartment in the bathroom area, especially when I was afraid somebody sneaking in and ambushing me. Because even at that time, you had crazy stuff happen, and there was one time I thought I was going to get ambushed at 1 o'clock in the morning when I answered my door because some crazy drunk woman was knocking on it, but neither here, there, or anywhere else. These particular guns are pretty heavy framed, and the reason why I went with the Ruger, one time my landlord and his brother had both their 44s. My landlord had a Ruger Red Hawk, not a Super, but a regular Red Hawk, which was similar style to this, in 44 Magnum. It had a 6-inch barrel. His brother had a Smith & Wesson 629, which was the stainless steel 44 Magnum, but with an 8 3/8 inch barrel. I'll be honest, I am not a fan of the 44 Magnum in a handgun. I will fire 357s in this, no problem. It's just the 38 plus P does what I need to do on a consistent basis. Anyway, I fired both of the 44s, and the Ruger, even though it had a shorter barrel, it had a heavier frame. I wouldn't say either one of them was pleasant to shoot, but the Ruger handled the recoil because of the bulk of the frame better than the Smith & Wesson. And to a country boy like me, I prefer a gun that I'm not going to have to buy again or replacement for because it wears out. The timing on this gun, even after 30 years, is rock solid. Rugers, I don't know how the LCRs are because they're part polymer and they probably cut a lot of corners, but the SP101s and the new gp100 series is probably going to be costing you close to $1,000. And with the machining and stuff, I can see why. Now, looking at the muzzle end, you can see how thick the barrel is. The front sight is drifted in, and there's a retainer for that. And firing plus P38s through this, which is 158 grain Hornady XTPs with a stout charge of an undisclosed powder, I'm not going to say what right now, it's pretty enjoyable. It was pretty much what the FBI load used before everybody switched to semi-automatics back in the 80s. One nice thing about the 357, if somebody is trying to attack you and they're high as a kite, the extra oomph from the 357 will do the job. The 38 plus P will do the job as well, but you don't have as many shots, so if you get a little adrenaline excitement, you're probably going to screw the pooch at a certain point. Now, give me a second and I'll reposition the camera and show you the difference between the 357 and 38 special cartridges. Some of you already know about this, some don't. Okay folks, you've got two cartridges here. The one in the nickel plated case is a 38 special. It's not plus P, best I remember. It's loaded with a Lee 158 grain round flat nose that I cast myself. The different case length's a little bit slight, but the 357 here with the full metal jacket is definitely longer. This is 130 grain factory ammo from Magtech. So, one nice thing about a 357, you fire 38s, 38 plus Ps, no problem. It'll handle the pressure. Now, some of your 38 only revolvers may not handle the plus P 38s. So, be careful with that. And usually if you get a snub nose, get a 357, you can only shoot 38s for training and general carry ammo. You don't have to do the dirty, hairy crap. A little bit later on, I'll go into detail about some of the reloading aspects, and I think instead of doing a weapons video next week, I'm going to do some reloading based material to help folks out. Some people may be new, some may be experienced, but maybe not see some of the stuff I've seen over the past 30-some years. One nice thing about the 38 and the 357, about every Tom, Dick, and Harry sporting goods section keeps them. The 38 is pretty much in the 9mm auto class, so even though you're giving up about double the capacity as far as magazines, not in California, but you're stuck at 10, but in your high cap autos, you're probably looking at 15 rounds versus 6. You're giving up double and then some, but you make up for it with the horsepower, especially when you use the 357 rounds. The 357, whenever I first fired it, I didn't have safety glasses on, and the concussion blast of the air kept hitting my eyes, and I unknowingly developed a little bit of a flinch because my eyes was expecting the pressure wave to hit. I know it sounds like I'm a wuss, but after that I gave it a couple years before I fired some more. I had some safety glasses on. My eyes wasn't affected. I was able to shoot more than a couple of cylinders of the magnum ammo through it. A hunting or self-defense situation, good Lord willing, you're not going to have to empty out a cylinder on something. So the pressure wave doesn't matter if you don't have safety glasses on during that period of time. Like I said, the gp100 in closing is probably one of the better built revolvers of the time period, and still is. Smith & Wesson is coming back to a certain extent, but they're mainly concentrating on their automatics, or I mean semi-automatics, some of the carbines and stuff that goes with it. Their legacy line of revolvers is getting pretty expensive, and I hate to say it, Ruger is too, and Ruger was kind of like the working man's handgun before Taurus kind of took over the budget market. But Taurus can be hit and miss, even though I own 2 or 3 Tauruses. But in conclusion, this gun right here is one of my favorites. It's going to stay in my collection until I die, good Lord willing. If I ever have to sell it, somebody's going to be donating a kidney and a leg to pay for it. Well, until next time, folks, this is Rant Fury. I hope you have a good one, and take care.